Hey guys, and welcome to Let's Play Xenosaga Episode 2. Of course, this follows from Xenosaga Episode 1, and if you haven't watched that LP or at least experienced the story for yourself, I would not recommend watching my LP or anyone's LP on Xenosaga Episode 2. The story does continue directly from the previous game, with little hiccups here and there, and we'll get into those as time goes on. I would also recommend at least understanding some of the story from Xenogears. While not a direct sequel or prequel, these games, the Xenosaga series in general, do have some association, some loose, some not so loose, with Xenogears. Now, if you are interested in any of the backstory or any spoilers relating to either Episode 1 or Xenogears, you may want to turn away because I will discuss them in this LP. They won't be in any great amount of frequency or anything like that, kind of like with Episode 1 when I recorded that one. I didn't do a lot of shots back at Xenogears, but I did mention it if there was something that I could mention without going into huge spoilers about the game I was playing. Considering this game takes place in 3 different games, 3 episodes, there are some references back to Xenogears that I will not make strictly because it's going to ruin later events in the plot, so just kind of be aware of that. But you have been warned. Please don't post any spoilers from this game or Episode 3 in the comments for the LP, but anything, questions or anything like that from Episode 1, or its relation to Episode 2, or Xenogears and its relation to Episode 1 or 2, post those in the comments as long as we're not getting into spoiler territory, and I'll be more than happy to answer them, assuming I am able. Now, this game has been a little bit in the making, at least the LP has, because I've been having a whole bunch of grief with weird recording of that anime review, which as of today is, I think, going up today. Anyway, so yeah, there's going to be a bit of a change from Episode 1 as far as combat goes, gameplay, storyline, and feel. Now, the first thing you'll notice is the music. It does not sound like Episode 1, and no, it does not. They, for some reason, I'm not sure why, maybe it was a money issue or whatever, but Yasunari Mitsuda did not return to compose Episode 2 or Episode 3. In fact, Episode 2 was taken on by 2 separate composers, one doing the actual game audio, and the other one doing the cutscene audio. The one who did the cutscene audio, my pronunciations are horrible, so I don't remember off the top of my head. But anyway, she worked on, I believe it says she, worked on the cutscenes for this game, and she composed the soundtrack for the 3rd game. So we're going to get to, and this is technically a cutscene, so this is her music. So we're going to get to know her reasonably well over the next little while, or at least her taste in music for this particular story. Anyway, enough babbling! New game! Now, very important, if you have not played Xenosaga Episode 1, you will not get this option. If you do not get this option, I would recommend going back and playing Xenosaga Episode 1. There's 2 really important reasons why you want to do this, and we will get into them, one of them right now. When we scan, we unlock the swimsuit for Ziggy and KOS-MOS, 2 characters who you could not get swimsuits for in Episode 1. Now, these are more important in this game than they are in Episode 1, because by Episode 1, by the time you get them, you really don't need a lot more tech points in order to beat the game or any of the optional bosses. In this game, you get many of them relatively early on, and you need them badly. We also earn a Geriatric Swimsuit. I'm not sure when they added this in there. From what I've heard, this has something to do with Xenosaga Freaks. If you have clear data from that game, I don't, so I'm not sure why I get this, but I've always gotten it, so maybe it's a change they made over time. I really don't know. Could be the version of the game that I have. I'm not sure, because they tend to release like an updated version of the game if, say, they have a greatest hits title going back to like PS1 or whatever. They would make changes to fix certain bugs when they re-released it as a greatest hits. Anyway, subtitles we're going to leave on because that's helpful. Stereo, that's all pretty good. And that was just glitchy. Hopefully this does not crash on me. I have been having nothing but issues with this emulator today. It crashes constantly. So hopefully we don't have any problems. If we do, I will re-record. We'll find out why.
What you're seeing here is actual footage from the violence that erupted before dawn this morning. These seemingly coordinated Realian attacks were reported throughout Federation territory, prompting government officials to consider this movement an act of terrorism. The response to these Realians has been...
Has been?
Oh.
What?
There's been a new development. As internal agencies continue to analyze these violent events, a flash action report within the Federation and obtained by this station indicates that only Realian models created within the last 2 years, or those receiving adjustments in the Miltian star system, have been implicated. Although this is not a complete list, we have obtained a partial list of units matching these criteria. This list includes DZ-100-6448, DZ-2000...
This doesn't have anything to do with what we just experienced in the last game, does it? Well, that'll be explained in due time. Now, this guy...
Today was just the beginning of the ensuing violence.
May seem familiar.
These Realian outbreaks are spreading like wildfire. They'll be reading off plenty more model numbers in the media tomorrow. I can assure you.
So, what does that have to do with the operation? I'd like to know why I was chosen for this mission. I'm told that the military has detained all of its Realians. I find it difficult to believe that they don't have any misgivings about us.
Kanan, you're a Realian who's been especially created and configured by Vector itself. I've been given the CEO's personal guarantee that you won't be affected like the others.
Besides, no ordinary pilot could possibly control your craft. That makes you very vital to the operation.
I don't believe you two have been properly introduced yet.
Not with that voice actor, we haven't. This is
He'll
KOS.
be joining you on board as your navigator.
I appreciate the offer, but you may want to reconsider.
Oh?
A regular human can't ride in that thing.
Right. That's why I'm here.
Foreshadowing!
All right, it's settled then. Good luck to both of you.
As mentioned in the briefing, this is a top-secret mission. All IFF code transmitters will be switched off, and under no circumstances will you receive backup from this vessel. You'll have to manage your descent and return on your own. You can expect heavy resistance from both UTIC enemy craft and Federation military units deployed throughout Miltia. It's gonna be dangerous, so watch yourselves out there.
Don't worry.
So,
I'm coming back.
We're going up against
Operator,
everybody?
Requesting confirmation. We are to head to point NN441, correct?
Correct. The URTV force is currently deployed at the target location. Your primary objective is to retrieve them. Protecting them should be your first priority.
All of them?
Affirmative. If the situation allows, you will then infiltrate UTIC's mother frame and acquire the Y data, the root of this conflict.
Roger.
Well,
We'll do
we
what we
heard
can.
in episode
ES
1
Asher.
about that.
Startup sequence complete. Requesting launch.
The
Launch
ES
request
Asher.
confirmed. Now guiding ES Asher to Deck B.
They do throw a whole lot at us right away without really explaining where we are, when we are. You know, all of a sudden we're not in eggs, we're in ESs, stuff like that. A lot of stuff. I'm not going to attempt that German subtitle
Defensive
there.
shields deployed.
But,
Ready when you are.
Yeah.
Roger. Initiating launch procedure. Good luck.
There's a lot to go over at the start of this game, and really there's too much. So we'll try and keep the episodes a little short while I go over explanations. I won't be going over too many explanations right off the bat. They do give us battle tutorials shortly after, so we're going to go into those for sure, because those are important to playing the rest of the game. But I'm not going to go into too great a detail on too many things. I just don't want to bog down huge long videos of explanations.
Currently
because
passing through the troposphere.
there are a lot of
Outer
them to go
hull
over.
temperature returning to normal.
Whoa.
Adjusting descent path by 0.22. This should get us closer to our target. Approach warning.
Uh-oh.
Incoming craft detected. They're on an intercept course.
Looks like there's that
We'll take them all
resistance.
out. Stop counting and take control of the shields. We'll use the shockwave to gain an advantage on them. You've got
Calm.
control of the weapons.
Cool. Collected.
Roger. It looks like they're unmanned. With no G-force limit, they can outmaneuver us. They might pull some crazy moves out there, so be careful.
It just makes them all the more predictable.
Does it now? Actually, it would make sense. And we get some pretty cool flight battle mech confrontation here. I'll try not to go too into like explanations during some of the cooler FMVs like this.
There's no end to these guys.
Apparently
And
not.
we don't have much ABR energy left either. Let's find some place to set it down.
Alrighty then. That's not a good way of piloting, unless you're using the Force. It worked for Skywalker. Are you kidding me with that? That is awesome.
We're empty.
Yup. If the gun's useless, get rid of it. That's pretty damn badass.
All enemies destroyed. It's true. You really are as good as they say.
How are you handling the feedback? You know, a normal person would have probably passed out by now. I don't want you jeopardizing the mission.
I'm fine. It feels like it's had some special tuning, but that just makes it more interesting.
Does it now?
I see. Well, if I get anything unusual from you, I'm cutting the bypass to the navigator immediately. I can operate this thing fine by myself.
Roger.
So we get a little more on KOS's background, the fact that even though he did some things that are by no means normal in the first episode and they never really got explained, we get a few more and we kind of get the feeling that he's not
Looks like
quite
we're pretty
a
far
normal
out from our
human,
objective.
but we don't really
Plus,
know
I'd say the
why.
defensive network we saw on the way down takes out the idea of an airborne approach.
We'll go by ground then. Fortunately, the rubble from the burned-out buildings should provide us enough cover to cross the city unnoticed.
Agreed. We'd better get moving. We don't have much time.
Not much time?
Until
Does this have something to do with the URTVs? Those designer children?
designer children, that's not a term we've heard
Yes,
in relation to
that's
them
right.
before.
We need to protect them from the coming crisis. If and when it occurs.
You do realize that's a different story from what I heard in my official briefing.
No doubt. As the Federation government's special forces, the URTVs were sent in ahead of the invasion. I'm sure you understand what they represent in the conflict against the UTIC organization.
Right. I understand that they're bioweapons sent in to sever the link between the UTIC's mobile weapons fleet and their source of power, the Zohar.
Oh.
The higher-ups have complete confidence in the URTVs. They are the military's trump card.
Are we actually going to learn about what they are?
The brass are also blind to the potential dangers of the URTVs.
And what would those be?
I hadn't realized the situation was so desperate.
Alrighty then. Old Milsha. You know, the place that was lost in the ether in the first episode, and talking about a conflict on said planet, which we know from the first game happened 14 years ago. Yeah, we're in the past right now. And in the past, we have completely new menus, completely new strategies, and we actually have to use mechs this time. So anyway, first things first, they have changed many of the voice actors from the first game. In fact, way too many. We've already heard Helmer. He is a different voice actor. Kanan, who was talking to Helmer earlier on, if you remember from the episode of the review of the anime that I did, toward the end of the review, from the end of the series, you see an image of a guy with orangish hair standing next to Helmer. At least I believe it's Helmer. And yeah, that was supposed to be Kanan, who makes no appearance in episode 1, although he's in the anime. Just one of the few things that were in the anime that weren't supposed to be there, either because they were from future episodes or just because the anime sucked. But regardless of that, now, there were two things I said were really important to getting episode 1 clear data before starting this game. One was the swimsuits, very important. 2, skill points. We no longer have skill points, ether points, and tech points. We only have skill points. Now, the amount of skill points you start off with in Xenosaga Episode 2 is determined by the level of your characters in your clear save data after you beat the game of Xenosaga Episode 1, which is why I did all the level grinding that I did. I got to level 80 before killing the boss the second time. I did this all off screen, obviously, and doing so gets you additional points, and points are really hard to come by at the start of this game, so I found that's a very effective way and takes less time to grind in episode 1 for levels than it does to grind for points in episode 2, at least until later on. So, that being said, the formula, from what I understand, is 600 special points. If you notice down in the left corner there, we have C points, which stands for class points. We'll get into all of this a little later, but skill points and class points. The skill points on mine are 3,000. The default, if you do not have any save data to load from, will be 600 skill points and 600 class points. The formula is 600 plus, and then in parentheses, 30 times your character's level. So it's different for each individual character. And so in this case, it's 30 times 80 plus the 600, so we have 3,000 points. I haven't done the math, but that's what the guide says. Now, I'm not going to go into actually making use of a lot of this stuff, but basically, that's the reason why you want to have your clear data and then go into the game after that. Now, it's not going to look this large forever, so just kind of bear with me as we go through some of the earlier parts of the game here. You can record your current progress and restore your health. Yes, hear that sound. They applied the Final Fantasy X logic to this game, though I believe 10 came out first. Pretty sure. Anyway, but yeah. Instant free heal of HP and EP, which will come up later. You can actually look at your base stuff right now, so at least not for your non-mech version of your characters. Anyway, let's move a little bit, and we're getting a little bit of slowdown here, which is kind of weird. Anyway, Rick Truck is on the road, automatically lock onto anything. Basically, since we were able to do this in episode 1, we transported over, even though it doesn't have any real explanation as why they were able to do that at this point, as opposed to when the device in episode 1 was actually created. But whatever, they just basically attack things instead. And if they'll get to this point, if there's more than one thing on there, you just hit the R1 button and you transfer between the different targets. You can also use L1, but R1's closer to my fingers. Or at least it seems that way. Anyway, let's go over here. Some things make very big booms when they blow up. Some things make smaller booms. So just spam the button. And first treasure chest, a power shield. That increases your defense when you're guarding. We won't be guarding at this point, so it's kind of useless. Now, before moving on, I think that's pretty much all we have time for. I know we didn't get to any real action, but like I was saying before, I want to keep these episodes short, and to do that, I actually have to keep them short. So that's all for episode 1 of Let's Play Xenosaga episode 2. I know, it's going to be fun. And we'll see you guys next time.